viewers, this is Paladin of Odin, and this is some more Magic the Gathering Online. This is another episode of the Standard Commentary series, and unfortunately, we had quite the snafu for Sunday's videos. None of the audio that I did for it recorded. So unfortunately, those videos are forever silent. Hopefully, I will have solved the problem. I am having to re-record this week's videos, all new videos. I had to trash all of this next week's videos because they were all silent. Thankfully, I have the time tonight, Sunday night, to be able to try and rectify the situation. Looks like we have Izzet Machine Gun. I did have a video of Izzet Machine Gun, which I had to scrap unfortunately, but thankfully we found another one, and he's up against Bant Aggro, it looks like. Though, honestly, it looks like he's awfully slow. I mean, we've got a Throbbing Inspector, and that's it. I would have expected at least one other creature by now. Even two. Ooh, Declaration in Stone. Very good timing for that. Gets rid of both of the Thermo Alchemists. One of them will get to ping for one. But that's one of the weaknesses of Thermo Alchemist that I've seen so far, is the fact that it only pings opponents. Because I've seen quite a few situations where being able to ping a creature with Thermo Alchemist would have been much preferred. But then again, he might be a little broken at that point. Storm Chaser Mage. You know, that's actually not a bad idea, considering the whole idea of the machine gun deck is to play instants and sorceries. So, you know, if Izzet Machine Gun makes a break into Standard, we might see a resurgence of Storm Chaser Mage. I mean, granted, he's in a pretty hostile environment, considering all of the creature removal available to any potential deck builder. Another Throbbing Inspector. Now, either this Bant deck is just having a slow start, or he's more of a mid-range deck than an aggro. Ooh, Fevered Visions. That's another very good and can be a key piece to Izzet Machine Gun winning a match. Thanks to the extra 2 damage every turn, and it's almost always every turn because you have to get down to 2 cards in your hand so that Fevered Vision's draw doesn't put you at 4. And it is 4 or more. Immolating Glare gets rid of the Storm Chaser Mage. And that's another thing about the Izzet Machine Gun deck is typically you don't see very many counterspells from them because it's not, I would say, active enough for their style of deck. You know, the whole idea is to be able to do tons and tons of damage repetitively. So to be able to do that, usually with Thermo Alchemist, you know, you don't want to be sitting there on counter spells. You want to be active and burning creatures, burning face, drawing cards, possibly using some of the tap down spells that blue has. Veteran War Leader. Now, he's not a bad card by any means. You know, 3 mana for an XX with power and toughness each equal to the number of creatures you control. In a creature-based deck, you know, 3 mana for that isn't a bad deal. You know, the only problem I see is the fact that the other half of the card is almost always useless because you're not running very many allies. Though, come to think of it, Sylvan Advocate is an ally, and since it has Vigilance, you can attack in, and then after you've declared attackers, tap it to give War Leader an ability. But Incendiary Flow from the machine gun gets rid of the 3/3. And this is another new card that I see becoming very, very popular. I mean, the only drawback to this card is sorcery speed. That's the only drawback. Otherwise, you get 3 damage to creature or player. That's very important in a deck like Machine Gun. And then you exile the creature if it dies. Another War Leader. So slowly pecking away at each other here. Izzet does have a full hand at the moment. So I'm leaning towards him having the advantage here. But Bant has such a small hand count that he is easily avoiding the Fevered Visions damage. So actually, Fevered Visions is helping Bant at the moment. The only problem is he has to play 2 cards every turn to stay away from that damage. But there will come a point when 2 points of damage isn't going to matter. Alright, another Incendiary Flow on the Veteran War Leader. That will prowess up the Storm Chaser Mage. Response from Bant. Spell Queller? We're waiting. Nope, popping a clue token. That's unfortunate. War Leader's going to die, get exiled, and Storm Chaser's going to be able to attack in for 2. Well, 2 more damage takes Bant down to 16. Machine Gun is down to 1 available mana, so Bant can pretty much go nuts here. Heron's Grace Champion. When it enters the battlefield, other humans you control get +1/+1 and lifelink until the end of turn. Flash, 3/3 lifelink, 4 mana. That's a hell of a deal. And then Reflector Mage to bounce the Storm Chaser Mage. 4 damage gets in. Izzet's down to 9, and things are looking pretty bad for Izzet here. He needs to clear the board. He needs something along the lines of a Radiant Flames. Well, no, he doesn't have the 3rd mana to buff it. So, well, Goblin Dark Dwellers is a pretty big creature, big enough to block any one of these creatures. And then he can get back an Incendiary Flow and most likely get rid of the champion. So effectively he's dealing with 2 creatures there by playing such a large creature and nuking another one. But he's still not in the greatest position considering he has a massive hand. Highland Lake. And another Fevered Visions. Now, Bant is probably going to take some Fevered Visions damage because he's up to 5 cards. Tireless Tracker. And Evolving Wilds. Evolving Wilds is a nice little combo to go with Tireless Tracker because it comes into play, gives you a clue token, you sack, get another land, gives you a clue token. So, 2 clue tokens for the price of 1 land, and, possibility of buffing him up if you need to. Ooh, Declaration in Stone to get rid of the Goblin Dark Dwellers. That opens the way for 4 damage. That'll leave Izzet on 5, and Lethal is on the board. There's no way around that. He has a Lumbering Falls if he needs it, Tireless Tracker can buff up, and then he's got Reflector Mage and 2 Throbbing Inspectors. So Izzet... Ooh, that's not really what he needed right here. Though, if Bant can't get rid of the Goblin Dark Dwellers, it will slow him down. And right here, 1 clue token isn't going to save him. But since Izzet obviously isn't going to do anything else. He just pops the clue token anyway because he was going to do it anyway. So, man up the Lumbering Falls and attack all in would be 4 damage that Izzet can't block. Oh, and he discarded an Insubstantiate. Okay, Tireless Tracker. And I have to admit, in this situation, I think I would push. I would man up the Lumbering Falls and attack all in. You know, you're going to lose the Lumbering Falls, but you're going to get through for 4 and put him on 1. Or Gideon. And mans him up. I was going to say, I don't know of anything. Oh, Dramoka's Command. Nope, Thalia's Lieutenant. I was going to say, Dramoka's Command. Use Gideon to punch out the Goblin Dark Dwellers, but, well, that's not what happened. So, he will still get through for 4. And in this case, he'll only lose a Reflector Mage instead of something bigger. So, last chance for Izzet. I mean, I'm entirely surprised by the fact that this guy has had almost a full hand the entire game and still can't manage to find answers. Okay, Incendiary Flow gets rid of the Tireless Tracker. He needs to get rid of 2 more creatures. Well, 3 more creatures because he can man up Gideon. Well, actually, he can man up... yeah, I was going to say, now that I think about it, there's no way that he could get rid of enough creatures. And that's something that I'm starting to think is probably the problem with Izzet, is if you can't knock their creatures out in sequence, when they play a creature, you kill it, they play a creature, you kill it. If they get a chance to build up an army, your options are very limited on how to get rid of them, or at least permanently get rid of them. You know, you have Radiant Flames for 2, since you're only running 2 colors, and Kozilek's Return. And either way, that's still only 2 damage. Now, a lot of the creatures that you're going to find in decks like this are going to have 2 toughness or less most of the time. And then the only other options he has are the blue bounce spells, and one of the most efficient, Engulf the Shores, he can't use because he's not running enough islands. You know, that's kind of a straight blue or blue with a splash kind of a play because it requires the number of islands. But I've babbled on enough. Hopefully the audio has worked on this. Sorry about those videos on Sunday, guys. I didn't catch it, and I apologize for that. But this was Izzet Machine Gun versus Bant Aggro, and if you liked what you saw, hit that like and subscribe button for me, and I'll see you in the next video.